Good afternoon, everybody. Before we get started, I just wanted to say, before I forget, to everybody, have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. I appreciate all you guys and your hard work, and I hope you guys enjoy the holidays.
I got you, Coach. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Same to you.
Thanks, Riz.
Just start with anything that maybe you came away with this morning that didn't come to you immediately last night.
No, I wish there was. I wish there was some magical thing that I saw on the film. It was quite frankly pretty much summed up with what I said, last night. I will say this. Anytime you're in a situation like this, naturally we got eliminated from the playoffs during the trip, and so I know the question was asked to me last night about just effort, and it was the first game that we certainly the score wasn't very competitive, so I was just really looking for that on film and really couldn't find it. I saw a lot of great effort from guys. We just didn't execute well. I mean, we went into the game saying that the start of the game and the beginning of the game was going to be crucial, and they scored a touchdown their first three drives, so we really and then we didn't do ourselves much favors on the offensive side of the ball, as well. So, that really was the thing. We just didn't execute. So there was no, nothing that stuck out on film more than just the lack of execution and the lack of playmaking. So.
What do you expect? Do you think there's a realistic chance Derek Carr could play this week?
I'm hoping so. We came out of that. We came out of the last few days with him getting a little bit better, so I think at some point this week we're going to try to simulate, what it would be like in a game and see if he's able to function. And so if we can do that and he can get in there, and like I said, all the factors that go into it, can he protect himself? Can he protect the ball? Can we function on offense? All that, his the way he's attacked the rehab and the PT and all that has been impressive. With a want to and a desire to get back and play. So I'm certainly gonna, if he's able to do it, then we'll do it. If not, I'm not gonna. We're just actually gonna throw him out there just to throw him out there. But if he's able to function and we feel like we're not gonna have lose anything by him being out there, meaning from an offensive schematic standpoint, then so be it.
And same question on Alvin Kamara. Is there any chance for him this week?
Listen, I actually met with Alvin this morning. Alvin is working his tail off to try to come back. That's going to be probably for this coming week. It'll probably be one of those later in the week decisions with where he is in the rehab. But I know, I'm not speaking for Alvin, but Alvin told me this morning in my office that he really would like to play again, and he's doing everything in his power to get himself back.
Riz, does the message, I guess, remain pretty much consistent now, or after, I guess, the most lopsided game you guys have had, or does it adjust any, or how do you approach these next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, JD, I don't think we're going to approach him any differently. We're still going to approach him with the mindset that we've had all along. Things looked pretty grim when we were 2-7. Just 6 or 7 weeks ago, and we were able to put that aside and battle back and put some good stuff on film and have a lot of positive things. We're going to see how we respond from this. Is a setback for sure. Listen, we went on the road. We played against a playoff team at their place who's got very few holes on their team, and it was we didn't help ourselves whatsoever by our performance. So it was a little bit of a perfect storm. I think the challenge this week is, number one, it's a short week. Number two, it's a holiday week. And then number three, we're coming off, a game where we got shut out. So my big thing this week is let's see how we can respond, and we're going to find out a lot about a lot of people.
Coach, you mentioned something last night around wanting to be able to kind of go back, watch the tape, and see sort of the isolated performance of Spencer Rattler. If you got the chance to do that, would you walk away with after being able to do so?
Yeah, it's one of those games where if I took a 10-play cut up of positive plays and you just watched those 10 plays, you'd probably say, okay, here's these 10 plays, evaluate these 10, and you would say, wow, man, this guy played pretty good. And if I did the exact opposite and took his 10 worst plays and his 10 negative plays, you'd say, oh boy, we got, this guy didn't perform very well. So there was certainly some highs and lows. The number one thing for any quarterback is obviously taking care of the football and decision making. So there's those few plays where, obviously we got sacked, fumbled. He's got to get rid of that ball quickly. It was a play that, didn't go very well from the start. And you saw Jordan Love had a couple of those on the other side of the ball where he just kind of, killed the play right now, threw it at the receiver's feet, and don't make a bad thing worse. Instead we take a sack, fumble. We throw an interception to double coverage, and then we take a sack in a 2-minute. Those are the plays that we have to erase. Now, he had a jump pass for 20 yards. He threw a strike, which was as good of a play as I've seen from a young quarterback. He had some good scrambles. He moved well in the pocket, and so it was definitely a performance where you got to take the good with the bad, and you got but we got to get rid of those negative plays. It's just for any quarterback. It doesn't matter if you're starting your fourth game or your 400th game. Those negative plays are going to be the ones that you look back on and say you got to get rid of. And I certainly think that comes with experience. So hopefully we can move forward with those and get better at it.
Darren, will he still be the guy taking the number one reps until Derek can come back?
I'm sorry, you got cut off there in the beginning. Can you repeat it?
Will Rattler remain the guy taking the number one reps until Derek's able to come back this week?
Yeah, that's what it looks like, Mike. I think he'll we don't practice again. We're giving the players off tomorrow. We come back and get on Thursday, and we'll have practice Thursday. But right now that would be what I would plan on doing, is having Spencer stay in there with the ones until Derek comes back.
There was a number that came out that there was pressure on over 52% of offensive snaps for y'all yesterday. What do you think was the biggest sort of contributing factor to that on the offensive side?
You mean the quarterback got pressured? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, listen, if you're the Green Bay Packers and you're playing against a rookie quarterback, you're gonna make him have to beat some pressure, and you're gonna have to you're gonna make him try to not gonna sit there and give him many vanilla looks. You're gonna try to make him rattle him a little bit, and I think that's what Green Bay did. With that being said, there was a couple of pass protections where we got beat up front one-on-one, and then there was a couple of pass protections where we didn't handle some of the pressures from a schematic standpoint very well. So, as I mentioned, yesterday, it's easy just to throw it on the QB. I know Spencer, was taking the hit himself, and he's man enough to stand up there and say, just put it on me, and that's all well and good. But I think we all know it's a group effort. We all got to do better. There's some things we could have done better protection-wise. There's a few things where some routes are coming open, and he can't set his feet, throw the ball, and he's got to move out of the pocket and scramble. And so, it's a total unit effort. And so, but I do know it was obvious that Green Bay's game plan was, hey, we're gonna pressure here a little bit and see if the young guy can handle it.
Darren, just to clarify, last night you said you specifically asked the officials if the clock was going to stop before halftime, and they said yes. I mean, is there a complaint associated with that, or was it just a misunderstanding?
Well, listen, the way that the play got, I guess, administered, probably for lack of a better word, they weren't wrong from a rule standpoint, because we did fumble the ball out. When you go back and watch the film, we did fumble the ball out of bounds. So you can't gain an advantage by doing that. So if you go back and watch the film, I'm trailing the play with the trail official, and they're stopped, both him and the other guy coming in the back. The deep official came in. They both stopped the clocks, momentarily. What I was asking the official as I trailed them was, are we going to stay stopped here? And I heard yes. So I heard, and so I turned back around, and it didn't get communicated to me by the officials or upstairs that that the clock was going to continue to run there. I'm not saying they were wrong in the way they administered it. It should have been running. It just never got communicated to me, by the officials nor the guys upstairs. So That's what happened there. But if you're watching me, I'm trailing the official, and I'm asking him, are we gonna stay stopped here? And the answer I got was yes.
Yeah, that was going to be the second part of my question. I mean, like 20 seconds or 24 seconds or whatever it was. I mean, is that somebody's responsibility in your booth to be alerting you in the headphones that also sort of got miscommunicated, I guess?
Yeah. Listen, we could have done a better job there. I think we could have done a better job of just being aware the clock started there, and because I turned my back to the officials and didn't see them wind it. And so, it was a little bit of a perfect storm there on both fronts. We were talking about how we were going to handle the end of the half there with play calls and personnel and the clock and all those things. And we were unaware that they wound the clock. So, but it didn't, like I said, didn't get communicated to me by either side. And obviously it cost us. I mean, now we took a sack there. We shouldn't have, but we would have had a little bit more time there on our side. I would have called timeout much earlier had I known the clock was winding. You guys know I'm on top of that, the stuff with the timeouts, and certainly I would have called timeout there had I known the clock was running.
One more injury on Eric McCoy. How did he check out today?
Yeah, listen, I think we've avoided major damage there, which is a positive. I don't know if Eric's going to be able to play here in these last couple of games, but it looks like from the initial, feedback and the initial scans and MRIs and all that stuff that he avoided surgery. So that's certainly a positive. It's going to be a matter of whether or not he could function and get back for these last couple of games. But I think the good news there is that, like I said, I think he avoided the major injury there.
Coach, you were talking earlier about motivations and things like that with playoff elimination and all, but just looking at potential motivation for Derek Carr and going against his former team, the Raiders, next week, have you seen any sort of glimpse that's a part of the factor of his wanting to return? Is that something he's spoken about at all?
Yeah, listen, I think anytime you have those games where you could play against your old team, it adds a little extra motivation. We've had a couple of those, obviously. We played, Washington, and I know Chase Young, that was a game he was looking forward to. We've had some of those. You saw Marshawn's comments when he came back to play against us. I mean, anytime you have one of those games where you can go up against, a former team, it's always adds a little extra motivation. Listen, no different than coaches as well. Coaches against their old clubs or players playing against their old clubs. There's always a little bit there. So, I'm sure when the schedule came out at the beginning of the year, that's one of those that Derek had circled for sure.
And do you think that that's something that the team around him rallies around too? Like in your experience of seeing that, as you just described, is that something that you've seen where the team kind of responds to that around him as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think naturally, it's always kind of some locker room talk and things like that. Where guys are going to be like, hey, we got to step up this week for so-and-so because we're playing his old team. There's always a little bit of that, little extra motivation when you're going to some of those games. Yeah, that definitely happens.
Another injury to ask update on of you. What can you tell us about Lucas Patrick and his early exit?
Yeah, Lucas had a knee situation there at the end. Unfortunately, I know he's waiting on. I think we're going to get some other opinions on that. That might be a one where we missed time. That looks like that's probably going to be a deal where he misses the last couple of games. I don't know if it's going to be surgical or not at this point, but that looks like that's going to be a significant missed time. At least when I say significant, I mean he's going to miss these last couple of games. But as far as the long term for him, that's yet to be determined whether or not that's going to be surgical or, so we'll see what happens with that one. I think he's going to get a second set of scans and a second opinion.
Around this time of the year, especially with the playoff elimination, there's always kind of conversation around how this is an important evaluation time for the roster and things like that. How much does that factor into these final two games, and what does that actually look like from your perspective as a coach?
Not to be funny, but I think we've been doing that for the last month or so. We've been evaluating a lot of guys that were backup or younger type players. We've been dealing with that for the better part of here the last 6 to 8 weeks. So we've had our fair share there. There's probably a few guys that we're going to, take, a step back here and decide whether or not we want to, maybe some guys that haven't played a ton. It won't be a lot, but there might be a couple of guys you see in these last couple of weeks that we want to get a look at. But fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, we've had a chance to evaluate a lot of guys here, specifically on offense, and a lot of those younger guys. So we're gonna make some decisions. There might be a guy or two that either maybe gets elevated off the practice squad, or maybe some guys that have been inactive for multiple weeks that maybe haven't played as much that we'll talk about here as the week goes on. So we'll have those conversations. But there's certainly been a lot of guys playing for us. I think you guys are well aware of that.
Darren, is Tano the one who ended up being activated in place of Shepard last night, or was it someone else?
Yeah, Mike, we were talking about either going with 8 or 9 D linemen going into the game. So I think Tano was going to probably be up and active anyway. And so we had, Tano obviously gives us the ability to have a swing guy both inside and outside. And so, we were kind of talking about either going with, actually, I said 9, not 8 or 9, I meant 9 or 10, because we use Isaiah Foskey obviously as a defensive defensive lineman and a core special teams guy. So we knew Tano going in was going to play some defensive snaps. So between him and Ridgeway, they really covered up for Shep's absence last night.
Thank you very much, Coach. Enjoy Christmas.
All right, guys. Merry Christmas to you guys. I appreciate everybody. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Coach. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.